2023, 501 Main Street, 5:30 PM. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call?
Crenshaw,
Here.
Walker,
Here.
Garcia,
Here.
Oltmans,
Here.
Ellenthal, Andrews, Tillman,
Here.
Bryant,
Here.
Greenwald,
Here.
7 present, 2 absent.
Item number 4, Mayor's Correspondence. Just a few announcements real quick. Geode Family Fest is this weekend at the First Christian Church parking lot. That'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so make sure you go out and see. There's a lot of people that come from all over the country and all over the United States to join in on that. Kilbourne Band Fest is this weekend. It's tomorrow night. Food, fun, inflatables, and lots of music at Kilbourne Park from 4:30 to 7:30. And then don't forget, tomorrow night it's Keokuk Senior High's homecoming game, starts at 7 o'clock. So tonight we have 2 gentlemen to swear in, our new 2 police officers in the city of Keokuk. I, Mason Shao,
I, Mason Shao,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will protect the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Iowa,
and the state of Iowa,
and I will honestly demean myself in office
and I will honestly demean myself in office
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of
and faithfully and impartially
discharge
discharge the duties of
law enforcement officer
law enforcement officer
of the city of Keokuk
in the city of Keokuk
to the best of my knowledge and ability
to the best of my knowledge and ability
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa
and ordinance of said city.
and the ordinance of said city.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ready?
Yep.
I, Philip Dunlap,
I, Philip Dunlap,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of law enforcement officer
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the law enforcement officer
of the city of Keokuk
of the city of Keokuk
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and ability,
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa
and ordinance of said city.
and ordinance of said city.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, we're ready for item number 5, and it is citizens' requests. So if we have any citizens that would like to come to the podium, we ask that you no more than 5 minutes if possible, and state your name and your address. And if you are here 2 or 3 people for the same reason, try to keep your comments same and go for that.
Hi, my name is Lori Walker. I actually reside in Warsaw, but I am the union president for Steelworkers Local 444. We work for Henniges Automotive. We do an annual Games for Hunger food drive for the community, and it's offset communities around us. And so I'm coming before the city council today to ask whether or not we would be allowed to put a banner at the end of the bridge and possibly out by the bypass if you own that property. I have a flyer from the event if you'd like to see that.
Yes. So, are you going to you're going to put it on stakes and here,
Yes.
down here, and will it be in the city park?
We usually set it off to the side. We've put it there every year, but last year, the banner and the stakes, everything come up missing. So I got the impression maybe I should ask. So I found out about 2 hours ago that this is what I needed to do to get that done.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. Every year you guys have a huge turnout. And it's a lot of fun to take your kids to. They drop off all of like the non-perishable items and then they get to play in the games and stuff. So I think it's great.
Thank you.
So it'd just be like a 4x8 like sign,
Yes.
and then right where the DOT easement is there at the end of the bridge going over to Hamilton,
It would be coming into Iowa.
coming into Iowa. That's why I was
Yes.
curious. Okay, that side. Okay, then. I get it.
And we always keep it out of the way of anything. We try to strategically place it so it
Yep.
doesn't interfere with anything else.
No, that sounds great.
Sounds okay to me.
I think it's good.
Is that all you need?
No problem. Thank you for coming. Go ahead.
Do you just have to get a sign permit from Pam?
Yeah, yeah, it's a temporary sign permit, and Annette spoke with.
Okay, perfect.
So do I have to come to do anything with you for that?
You can just give us a call tomorrow, and we'll take care of it. Okay?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Lori.
This is citizens' time, right? Okay. I received an email. First off, my name's Marty Fox, 618 Franklin Street. I received an email, my grandson received it and printed it off for me, about the property next door to me. I'm at 618 Franklin Street, and I think it's 628 Franklin Street. I see he has got another building permit. He's been scamming you guys for 12 years, and I'm tired of it. You know, every time I've been given, well, in 30 days, we've given him 30 days for this, and we've done this, and he's got 45 days to respond. And with your timeline on mowing, the yard gets mowed about twice a year, because the 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, and all this kind of stuff. He's got you figured out. He knows how to play the system, and got this rescheduled on the court this week. And I think he was in the yard that day. I think he was in town. I can't be sure, but I'm pretty sure it was him. And he gets, now, during this last windstorm we had, this roof repair that you guys allowed, nobody inspected it. He went up and put a couple of pieces of chipboard on it, a couple of nails, and it blew off and cost me $500 on my house because it wasn't done right. He went up and put a couple of chipboard, 4x8 chipboards in a tarp, and then it blew off on my house. If one of my grandkids would have been out there, my great-grandkids on that front porch, it would have killed him. Because nobody pays attention to what he's doing. And I'm telling you, I know he's got to like December 30th or 31st. But there's no reason they can't clean that property up on the outside. None whatsoever. That is a dump. And I have to live next door to it. And I'm putting you on notice. If there's anything done by this deadline, I'm going to seek legal help and see what I can do against him and the city. I'm tired of it. Thank you.
Mr. Fox, I'm not sure what the court actually, the date that the court actually extended his vacant property registry. the actual, it wasn't actually a deadline on the building permit, other than he needed to have the plan that he submitted for the building permit completed by that time, which was interior drywall.
Well, you had a building permit once before. Remember, the electrician was supposed to come.
Mhm.
The electrician never came. Nothing ever happened. You guys did nothing. And I mean, if you don't have legislation to protect us in the cities, you should make legislation.
We are doing something. We're taking him to court. And
What?
I said, we did do something. We're taking him to court.
Well, you tried to take him to court. He's not there. That's what I'm talking about. This has been on for 12 years. Now we got until the end of this building permit before he goes to court again.
No, that's not true. I think he's going in November.
His date's November 14th. That's when it was rescheduled for.
Do you know why there was a continuance?
He called the city attorney and the judge and asked for a rescheduling date, and
I'm
they,
sure he couldn't have spoken to a judge, so I'm
that's what the email said. That's only what Casey told me when I
assuming
asked.
Jim filed a motion to continue. Okay,
And it got rescheduled for November 14th. It was supposed to be this past Tuesday.
okay.
I'm not trying to be a butthead about
Mhm.
this. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of having to live next door to it, to what it, it's costing me money. It's costing me money in my property values. I try and take care of my house. And that's what happens. The rest of the city sees all this stuff and nobody enforces it. It don't get done. So why the hell should they do it?
No, I think it's a good thing that you come forward. We aren't always aware of all of those court hearings that go on and why they get continued. We don't get notice of those.
Well, I got a string of emails and you can just follow the paper trail. It's been going on for 10, 12 years.
It sounds like it's in Carissa's ward and she is following it.
Yep, I've been working with Casey and I'm planning on attending all the court dates. There's supposed to be one next Tuesday for 5 more properties.
Carissa
have-
came and looked at the damage on my house when
Yeah.
when his temporary roof fix blew off onto my house.
And I sent all the pictures to Casey and she put all that with his file and filed it with the
I
The
just want
failure
some-
for the
I just
vacant
want
property.
something done. If you guys had it next door to you, you wouldn't put up with it either.
Mhm.
Thank you.
completely understand. Pam, do you know, just by chance, do you know how many times they're allowed to reschedule?
They can reschedule as many times as an attorney asks, or if it's on a judge's docket, there's
So
no.
we don't have a limit on, there's nothing we can do if they just keep
The
rescheduling
city
it?
attorney shouldn't be filing motions to continue unless it's a valid reason.
So we would have to ask him what the valid reason was?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And Casey and I and Cole and the mayor have had many discussions
Mhm.
with the city attorney on how important this is in the court proceedings. I mean, we are getting them to court
Okay.
at this point. But we will have another discussion about the continuances.
Okay,
That's not something that we choose.
Sure.
We pretty much has to sit there and not say anything unless we are asked.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I did ask her if the one next Tuesday has been rescheduled yet, and she said no. So that one is still on for now.
Does the property eventually get condemned if nothing's been done about it?
It's already posted unsafe to occupy. The house, I mean, I went in the house with Casey a couple months ago. He may not be taking care of it like his neighbor is taking care of it. And we've had issues with many of his properties, but it does not need to be taken down.
May I ask who the property owner is?
Gary Davis?
Gary Davis.
Can I ask why he got a building permit for drywall and ceiling repair when the roof leaks and it's damaged? I mean, isn't that kind of just gonna mute the drywall repair?
The roof has been repaired. They did get a permit. That was the last permit that was issued, was the roof.
But the temporary patch fell off and landed on his house. So
Okay,
it's
but
been
it-
repaired
yeah.
since then?
It has been.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I will go check tomorrow again, but that was supposed, I mean, I haven't went back over. I know that Casey has been following it just because of the courts. But we did tell him, you need to get the porches fixed, you need to get the windows fixed.
Mhm.
I mean, it needs to be taken care of.
All the wiring on the outside stolen, stripped off of that house. The meters are
Yes.
gone. And I'm told that any plumbing or wiring inside of the house that was any good, the caretaker told me that it was, he wanted to know if I'd saw anybody over there. Well, the door was open for months, but it's all been stripped out.
And so we will not lift the posting on the house for somebody to occupy it until the electrical and the plumbing and the mechanical has been taken care of. And we do get, we are in contact with the plumbers, the electricians, and the mechanical, and then Alliant and the state also. So it's not, somebody's just not going to get to move into it just because he gets the interior repaired.
Underneath the front porch is all rotted out.
Yes, it is. Yes. He's been told he needs to repair those. No, you could not. Most of them are posted unsafe to occupy.
Okay, do we have any more visitors' requests? Citizens' requests? Okay. Item number 6, consent agenda. Minutes of the regular city council meeting and council workshop of September 7th, 2023. I need a motion to pay bills and transfers listed in registers number 5362 to 5364. I need a motion to approve the agenda, including the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 7, now is the time and place for the public hearing to review a proposed subdivision, a portion of 365 Carbide Lane, formerly known as Carbide First Edition. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on September 13th, 2023. I am opening the public hearing at 5:47 p.m.
There are 3 resolutions for this action. The first one is to approve the preliminary plan. The second is the final plat, and then there's a plat of survey for the remainder of the property. There's no, on the plat of survey, it says our auditor's parcel. The auditor will assign a parcel to that. Once the council approves, we will get signatures from the surveyor, and then go ahead and have it recorded at the county offices.
I do want to correct one thing. The plat of survey is not for the remainder of the property. It's for the middle section of the property, which would be for the second cleanup grant that we'll be applying for.
Stand corrected. Thank you.
Any more discussion? And I'll be closing the public hearing at 5:48 p.m. 7B, consider resolution approving preliminary plan Carbine First Edition. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 7C, consider resolution approving final plat Carbide First Edition. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 7D, consider resolution approving plot of survey auditor's parcel. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 8, now is the time and place for a public hearing to consider vacation of 17 feet times 158 feet 7 inches platted unimproved street in Kinsman, second subdivision, and adjacent 20 feet by 150 feet 7 inches platted unapproved public right-of-way located between Walty Lane and Lofton Drive. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on September 13th, 2003. I am opening the public hearing at 5:50 p.m.
The Planning Commission reviewed and recommended approval of the vacation at their meeting on August 27, 2023, based on the street alley acquisition that the price cost that the council approved several years ago. The property would be $1,174. That would also include filing fees and any publications. You did get a revised or amended resolution. The auditor's office, I sent the description to them and for them to be able to, because it was in Kitsman and then part of it was in an unplatted area, they helped me out with that resolution that would help them actually identify the property better. I want to give a shout out to Michelle Dodson of the auditor's office. She's been great to work with. She's always very helpful on this type of thing.
How much of those fees are like administrative? I know we talked about that they were set by resolution. I'm just wondering, on a property where it's been maintained by the person who's purchasing it for so long, are we charging them for something they've actually saved the city money on?
Actually, they would have been responsible for it regardless because it's abutting their property.
They would have been responsible for mowing city property?
Just like a right-of-way, yep, yep.
The
But
other,
that's up to the council if the council wishes to do something different with the fee.
the other reason why we set the fees is that the state of Iowa requires that unless there's a development agreement, there has to be a purchase price.
I knew there was a price. I just wondered how much of it was administrative and how much is actually for the. Did we know how much is the difference there? How much actual administrative fees probably go into that?
That's just the price set for the property.
Well, you said it included the filing fees.
They also will pay that, which is not that much. It's like $30-some for the publication and
Oh, so-
then whatever the like recording fees are.
It's not including.
No, it's not included in that, no.
Any more discussion?
I'm just curious about if this property that's in the middle that was ever subdivided, they would be able to access it then from Walty Lane, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
yes. I believe, well, Ashley's here if you have any questions for Ashley. I believe they're,
I was just asking about the Gorham property because if that property was subdivided, I wanted to make sure that there was oh, sorry. Just go.
Where Fairlane ends, and you see that driveway goes to that garage there, that's all Gorm's as well. And so he would have access from that driveway, and then where Walty ends down here at the bottom, would be able to access that plot as well. And we did talk to Mr. Gorm. He wasn't interested in purchasing any of this section that we're purchasing. He thought we already owned it.
Okay, well, I was just curious in the aspect is that that property in the future, if somebody wanted to, could subdivide it and they
Yep,
can
and
access it
it's-
then from Walty Lane is where I was
Yep,
saying.
it's got two, it's technically two plots. So one would be accessed from
Yep.
Walty and one from Fairlane and Lofton Corner.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Any more discussion? I'll be closing the meeting at 5:53 PM. Item number 8B, consider resolution to vacate and dispose of a platted street in Kisman, 2nd Division, Subdivision, City of Keokuk, Lee County, Iowa. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 9, now is the time and place for a public hearing to consider a permanent encroachment of a 10-foot by 24-foot stone wall with columns on the public sidewalk for Lucky's Pub and Grub, 528 Blondo Street. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on September 13th, 2023. I am opening the public hearing at 5:54 PM.
Okay, you can tell how good I am at this stuff. I give the prints to the sidewalk, what we're wanting to do to Pam and I want to thank her for all her help. And we're open to questions. Is that what we're doing? Questions from the council about this sidewalk. It's only, how many inches, Doug? How high is that wall? 24 inches. 10 foot from the building. And then you got your 5-foot sidewalk for public. It's from what we've done so far on the building. For us, the sidewalk is the key punch for all we've done. And, you know, we worked hard on the place all summer long. So we'll see what goes. If there's any question.
Is there a reason that you want a permanent wall versus just a temporary wall that
Yeah, I
can?
can't hear. My ears are so bad. I don't understand what she's saying. The echoing. Is it permanent? That's the way we originally designed it, a concrete wall that comes up so high. That's what we'd like to do. It'd be stronger, or close. We could also do it where we could do it in treated lumber and put flashing on the bottom and build it all around in treated lumber.
Will it be concrete or brick? Concrete or brick?
The outside of the wall, whether we build it in concrete or we do it in wood, will be a stone.
Okay.
With caps, and we'd like to do the pillars, 2 of them in front of the door on Grand Theater side. Just pillars just come up a few inches higher than the wall with a cap on.
I'm just curious why you decided to be permanent versus a temporary wall.
The way we originally did it was permanent concrete. But if that's what we want, I suppose it comes to your guys' decision on what are allow us to do.
I like the permanent wall because of the business that you run. I think it just makes more sense. You're not going to be having to fix it over and over again. I feel like a temporary wall is going to need repairs.
Okay.
So that's just my thought.
You
on
still
that.
have your 5-foot sidewalk, and we are going to pour it and do the stamp. We're stamping the sidewalk to make it look like stone. And we're going to do the city sidewalk also.
My only question would be, I guess, is, are you completely adamant about the brick, or would you be open to potentially like an open fence, like a black railing type fence? You still have permanent, obviously you still have your permanent post, but that way it wouldn't, I guess my concern is that if we get a block, and I'm all in favor, like Ross said, I'm all in favor of doing it because I think it's good for business, outdoor dining, outdoor things like that. And you want to be able to section it off because you want to be able to serve alcohol. To do that, you need to be inside a closed in area. But if you did it with like the black iron railing type, where you could still see through it, it wouldn't be quite as overbearing. And that's just more something to consider, I guess. Like I said, I'm all in favor of you doing it. I'm just curious if the black rail or something that would be a little more open to see through wouldn't be quite as overbearing and maybe would go a little better with the scenery. But either way, I'm in favor of doing it. So.
Drawing might have thrown us all off because it looks like it's going to be really tall. And
Yeah,
I think it's much smaller than
any fencing you have is so tall, they don't make fencing down as low as what we're
I
gonna
think
be.
it's much smaller than the drawing portrays.
Right.
The purpose behind the design wall is it's more appealing, it's more decorative, and we don't have very much space from the building to our cutoff point for seating or anything. So a lot of people like to hang out there, and it's like a seating wall. You're gonna be able to see through it because it's only this tall. It's yeah, the drawing, it looks a little tall than what it's actually going to be.
Well, and that's your,
It's gonna be
that's your
somewhere
CAD.
around
That's your CAD not working the way you want it to work.
But we're doing it for the overall look. It's more of a cosmetic, where the fence is just typical what everybody else does.
And it looks like you're having just the one entrance that would probably tie with your opening, your front door opening now. Is that,
No, there's two.
is there two entrances to it
Yeah.
from the outside?
There will be an
Okay, I
entrance-
see that on the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
down there where the second door is, there's a entrance there.
Okay.
And then there's an entrance up by the front door.
I guess the other question for Pam, since it's not actually closed doors, would that interfere with them serving alcohol out there? I mean, would we have to change something so they would be able to actually serve alcohol outside, even though since it's not doored, it's just entryways? Is that something we need to?
No, what it is, as an outdoor, they would have to apply for the outdoor service area permit. And so long as it's monitored and the alcohol stays within the service area, they're fine.
Is that permit would basically the same as like when they get their alcohol license, just?
Yeah,
It's not a
just
yearly permit, it's a.
No, it's an add-on to their.
But it does say it's just something they could apply for when they do their regular liquor license.
Well, they would, if it's open before the renewal, they'll need to apply for it beforehand.
Well,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but then.
I just want to make sure we don't do all this and then you still can't do what you wanted because now we're against city ordinance and you've spent all this money and we can't change it. So, okay.
Is Lucky's on the Historical Society? Is it registered with the Historical Society? Is it historical building?
It is not on the historical registry.
No.
No, we're not on any committee or any,
But all this has to go to the planning commission and so on and go through them. And if you have a concrete or a brick wall up there, it's a little more security for your patrons than a wood wall. So that's what you're looking for.
The wall needs to be sturdy.
Pam, are there any requirements in existing code to the height of that wall? Because it seems, as short as you're talking about, I can see someone not paying attention and flipping over it. They trip over it because it's so short.
So we're starting out with the encroachment. He's also going to have to reapply for the sidewalk cafe. That actual temporary or permanent fencing is what you would call it, or barrier is what they actually, I believe, referred to it in the code. It is required to be 3 feet. So, that's something that their pillars are 3 feet, but it looks like on the design, the actual wall would be 30 inches. So it would, that's, and I kind of thought that way too. I don't know if a comfortable seating at 36 inches would be appropriate. I'm not,
No, the pillars are more decorative. They're more for the look.
Correct.
There won't be anybody. sitting.
No, I meant the rest of the wall if it was required to be the 36 inches per the actual code of the sidewalk cafe.
I didn't hear what you said.
Well, if it needed to be, if that's code, it just wouldn't be a place to sit because that's too tall. Like a typical.
Part of our seating, the fence we're designing, Doug designed. By the way, this is Doug Monroe from Atlanta. He's my best friend and also owner operator of what is it? Precision Concrete.
Diamond
Concrete.
I like the design. I like the idea.
I think my struggle though is that if you have people sitting on a 2-inch wall, a 2-foot wall, and there's 5 foot for wheelchair access, how does that impact the ability and accessibility around that building? And also, I struggle with the aspect of putting anything permanent on a city sidewalk. And then is that our maintenance if that building gets, if something happens in the future, how does that all play out in the end?
I would assume if I was sitting, my feet would be toward Lucky's so that it shouldn't impede anybody on the sidewalk. But does it fall in line, I would think, with like Main Street Keokuk's wanting people to eat outside and in the district sort of thing?
Yeah, but I think a lot of times things are required to be temporary due to changes and things like that. So you can have, for instance, you see it in Iowa City a lot where they have post holes and you can put the post in for the summer. And then in the wintertime, because of snow removal and all those other things that are required to do, they take those things out and then they're not a permanent structure in the winter to be able to not prohibit access. So imagine a snowplow is going by and putting snow up there, and then you have a 5-foot area to be able to have to plow and be able to maintain as well. So I'm concerned about accessibility and any sort of ADA complications personally, especially around the Grand, with the Grand Theater there.
Well, they can't put trucks on the sidewalk anyway.
The new design.
I didn't say they could
actually
put trucks, but I mean,
So-
if you have to maintain that right away, you have to maintain that space still.
5 foot, I mean, everything inside the wall, you guys would clean up as far as snow, trash, whatever, it'd be,
They currently clean up the whole
I
sidewalk.
say right now, they're
They'd
cleaning
have
up.
to clean up the
anyway.
whole sidewalk.
taking care of the
But
whole sidewalk.
definitely
They'd have
inside
to
that
clean up
wall,
the
so
whole
all the city would be that 5 foot outside. And for me, as long as and that's why I sent Pam an email, because I wasn't sure, I couldn't remember what the city code was. But as long as we've got 5 foot of sidewalk, realistically, they're within city code.
The city
rest
doesn't
of
even
that-
do the 5 foot. They're
No,
doing all of that.
That's what I'm saying. So they've still got 5 feet in front of it. So they fall within code. I think it's a really good idea. I really do. I like the idea just because it does. And we're trying to, you're in 6th Street, right across from Grand, so potentially even guys that are coming outside of Grand after a show or something, hey, let's go over and, do something over here because it would draw that attention. Right now, you've got this big block wall with windows, but a lot of people don't really know what's going on in there. If you got an opening now where it's outside seating, outside venue going on, potentially music, turn down low to where it's not overbearing because you don't want to, it's not a band. I do. I think it's a really good idea.
Pam, can you explain to us really how this process is set to play out then? Because right now we're just talking about the encroachment, a yay or nay on that, but a lot of this discussion is stemmed around the design aspects of it. And so if we vote on the encroachment, then the design aspects that comes back up at a later date, is that correct?
I believe we actually did the design criteria in a resolution. So if the council would like that to be based on maybe as this, a 2.5 to a 3 foot, we could actually bring that to you next council meeting for you to vote on changing it by resolution and the actual design criteria.
So with what we will potentially be voting on today, that does include the design choices in front of us then, or that would go back to a review process? Because we've had 3 or 4 different ideas thrown out and they've said, hey, we want to make things work here and have everybody be happy. So I just want to verify what we're voting on, is it a permanent to this design, or does it still leave the door open for things to be tweaked, like, what Shelley's brought up or other people have said they're fine with the stone, there's.
I guess that to that point, you should change the design criteria before actually approving the design that's not actually code compliant.
So can this go to the Architectural Design Committee to be able to be reviewed and for them to look at it and provide some sort of recommendation to the?
Shelley, we do not have anyone on the board at this point or in the architectural design. I have spoke with Kira. She's trying to rally the troops to maybe get some people on there. But we do not have a current board that's meeting.
How soon are you guys trying to do this?
We've already we already started and then we stopped like this.
I just don't want to deter people who are trying to invest in their businesses here. So I don't want to push this down the road too far when you guys are trying to invest in a local business. So that's my concern with pushing it.
If you look at the resolution, it says construct a 10-inch by 24-inch high stone wall with 5-foot parallel. I mean,
Yeah, that was what was presented the first time. It's totally up to the council. If the council's all in agreement to change the resolution for the design criteria of the outside cafe, it's totally up to you guys whether you want to approve the resolution and then in 2 weeks change the criteria.
I just want to make sure we're not duplicating or being redundant here, because if this is talking about a 24-inch tall structure to be a cafe area, but then city code says a cafe area must be 36 inches tall, we're just creating more hassles by doing it that way.
That is correct.
I basically have already designed the whole thing. Currently, the existing sidewalk is way out of code. So you can't go duplicate what was there because it's like a 4% slope towards Main Street. Closer you get to Main Street, the steeper it gets. And in the wintertime, right now in the wintertime, that's slick. Coming into that second door, it's steep. I've redesigned everything where it is in code. It doesn't, nowhere is gonna exceed 2% and, or less than 1.5% slope. And I have wheelchair, accessibility on the one end.
Well, I'm not talking so much about the sidewalk as the wall. I just want to make sure that we give you the approval to go ahead, that it works and it doesn't get held up at a later step because then something doesn't follow how it needed to be at that later step. That's what I'm trying to point out.
We're not allowed to provide a variance. That has to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that would be a variance, wouldn't it, to be able to do a lower wall?
The design criteria was approved by the city council. So if you want to change the design criteria, it can go ahead and be changed at in 2 weeks at your next, just by resolution. If they're wanting to build the wall taller than what the actual design criteria has, yes, it would be a variance, I guess. So really, you need to change the actual design criteria and then approve the wall.
So you're talking about the height?
The height.
Mostly the height.
Yes. Three feet. They're actually wanting to do a seating wall. They don't want a rail along there. Yeah.
This design is used all over the place. Did you see it like in restaurants?
Sure.
It's pretty much standard, about 24 inches.
I'm sorry?
Columns be 36 inches?
The columns will be taller.
I'm going to leave that up to you guys, right? I mean, that's, the design criteria was, I believe the 36 inches was for tripping hazards or, somebody just walking along and just, I believe that was more, your focus would be more at the higher, like a fence. I mean, it wasn't really due to a permanent wall. It was more of a fence, a permanent and or a temporary fence. So this is kind of a unique situation where I totally get the concept. I mean, a seating wall, I mean, it's a nice area for them to be able to go out and enjoy the exterior, but as our resolution, as our design criteria, it doesn't allow that at this point.
So Doug, let me ask you, your top, is that going to be a wider piece of block, like a 10-inch to give them more? The very top is going to be a top plate?
Yeah.
So I guess my question, because that, you're going to have basically a 10-inch plate top. It'll be even with the front to keep it within our 5 feet, but you're going to have more like a sill plate type deal.
Correct. Yeah,
So
correct.
what about if you've got if your columns are 3 feet, could you put a 2-inch, 3-inch plate rail lined up with the back? That'd actually give them something to lean back against. And it would solve our 3-foot problem because now the whole wall would sit at 3 foot when you're counting that rail. You get the same look, but that rail would also serve as a protection for somebody falling into the house or falling or into the building, falling out of the wall, but you'd still have that. If you were only 3.5 inches, your width of your block, yeah, you're not gonna have much to sit on. But if you're looking like a 10-foot cap, a 3/4 inch rail, like a 2 by 3/4, and make it, gridiron or whatever you want to do, that would obviously be, aseptic to everything else. It'd look good with everything else. But if you plan to do that, that'd give us our 3 foot, and you'd still have your 2-foot sitting wall. Your columns are already at 3 foot. That'd solve our problem.
For safety reasons.
And it would be, then that would, like Pam said, if that's what it is, and it sounds like their concern is if we're under the 36 inches, then potentially somebody not paying attention, walking through there, to me, I don't know how that would happen, but obviously it does, or we wouldn't have that. But that extra railing would prevent that, and it would also make the thing come up to city code. We could vote and pass it today and get it done.
So Pam,
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see your point, and it's a good idea.
And if the council wishes to consider the columns as part of the actual design.
At this
they
point in
are-
time, I don't want to design by committee, especially as a city council member. I want to see a final design, and I want to know what it's going to be, and I want to know what materials. I want to know all the details. I think that for me to be able to feel like I have an informed decision, I need to know the details. And if I don't have those details, I don't feel comfortable providing a permanent encroachment onto a public sidewalk in front of our, some different areas. And so that's what I'm struggling with right now, is that I need to have something that is detailed, final, and that says, this is why we're doing it, this is how it's going to look. I want to see photos of other places that have it, so I understand. Because right now, I can't even imagine it.
I clearly understand where you're coming from. So, yeah, we pretty much got it narrowed down, the materials we're going to use, what it's going to look like. We were kind of tossing back and forth, just two ideas on the outside of the wall. So, because sometimes when you're building something or remodeling the inside of a house, once you get going, you look at it and you go, this would look a little bit better if I'd use this color or something. Are you looking at like details as far as color and?
I don't need details on colors. I want to see a rendering. I want to see what the height of the sidewalk's going to be compared to, because right now there's a slope issue, yes? Is that one of the issues? There's a slope issue?
That has been provided.
They give all that information.
That's already.
Yeah, they've already got that. But then what I'm saying is that I want to see a picture of what it's going to look like and the design elements. Are there going to be planters? Are there going to be benches? Are there going to be?
I got you.
I just feel like right now we're talking about how we want to change it, and I'm like, I don't have an idea of what it's permanent going to be, and that's where my struggle is.
We can do that. We can do that.
Pam, do you have the information you need except for the height of the sitting wall?
If the council is okay with what was presented, yes, I do.
Okay.
They have received the sidewalk cafe application, which they're going to fill out. That will also come to the council for approval.
Okay.
So if you want to table this for 2 weeks, we can make sure he's got the sidewalk cafe
I think another thing that we need.
application.
I mean, I could move pretty quick on what you need. I'm up here on standby.
Well, also one of the things I was thinking that we need to consider that if somebody's walking along the sidewalk and they don't know, for instance, in the winter, that there are 2-foot drops offs, on the end caps, that should be at a 3-foot level so that you don't have the risk of tripping at the ends because they're walking on a sidewalk and they might not know, they might see a pillar, but that doesn't mean that they know there's a 2-foot drop off on the ends of it. You know what I'm saying? Is if you're walking down the sidewalk and you see that there's a, like on the short ends. That's what I'm saying. To be
So-
able to,
One short end is ADA compliant. The one toward Blondo, he said is flat.
okay, so there's not a 2-inch wall, a 2-foot wall on the end here.
Well, there's an opening is what I'm saying, if you wanted to get out.
On the end here, near the,
That's the ADA.
not that one, but the other side, I'm saying.
Is that there?
No, there's no step there.
What?
You're talking about up by Blondo?
Where the alley is.
What's that?
Where the alley is.
The alley, that's gonna be closed off, except for the 5-foot city side.
But what I'm saying, is it going to be a 2-foot wall or is it going to be a 3-foot wall?
The wall increases on the outside.
That's what I'm saying.
On the outside, it increases about 7 inches over the whole length of the wall.
So then if somebody's coming across there and they're walking in and they don't know there's a 2-foot wall there, could they fall into it? If they take a right across around the building, know what I'm saying?
Well, that'd be the advantage of having the rail at
So-
3-foot. That'd be the advantage of, and we're talking like a 2x3.
This is where I struggle. We just,
So here's what I'm hearing. These renders that you've done for us, would you be able to give us renders that show the 36-inch clearance with whatever design element you so chose that would take into account these safety considerations that we've brought?
Well, I do want to mention one thing. I can see where y'all coming from if it was like a typical wall that's 8 inches. But with the cap on it, it's going to be closer to a foot. It could be a foot. I don't see how anybody could like not see that and trip over it and fall on the other side of it.
That's my thought process too, is I'm not
I don't see
sure.
how anybody could do that.
I don't know why we're designing the wall. I think, do we decide that the columns could count as the 36 inches or are people not in favor of that? I'm fine if there's columns. If you see a column and you aren't looking at the whole wall.
I'm concerned about when you
user
have,
error.
if we have a big snow, if there's snow is piled in certain areas and people aren't going
Their
to.
snow is cleared every morning. I only know that I drive by every single day to go to work. So I mean, I don't know that we're getting 3 foot of snow where someone's gonna walk into it.
So here's my opinion on this whole thing. Can we, these guys have a vision and we keep throwing all this stuff at them, saying, change this, change that, change this. And these guys have a vision. So can we figure out a way that their vision fits our code? Pam, can you and these gentlemen sit down and do that? Because we talked about removing the wall and making it so it wasn't permanent and all that. That's not their vision. So if they meet the code, can we bring that back? I think that's what we need to do. We need to quit telling them what their vision needs to be, and they need to sit down with Pam and meet the code with their vision. That's my opinion.
I'm just curious,
I agree.
would you guys be open to modifying your design to have that wrought iron fencing, just to bring it up to the proper height? Is that something you'd even consider?
But I mean, the whole idea of designing this thing is the cosmetic look. It's just not like a.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'm sure it will
Yeah,
be.
you know, I like to envision things and I like to remodel houses and I'm real I'm real picky about how everything looks. If you like, I'd rather raise the wall than put a rod iron on the back, because I think it's gonna
Sure.
ruin the whole look of what I've designed.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
Not that it's a great idea, though, I mean, it's just, that I don't,
Just the height requirement being what it is,
I understand.
you know, I was just wondering if you'd be interested. And like you said, even if you made the whole wall 3 feet high, you know, that might cost more in material and everything than just putting some, you know, wrought iron backing to, you know, between your pillars, but,
I originally designed it to where it was taller, and it was more like a small countertop, so you would be standing and have something to put your drinks on and your food or whatever. That was my original, but then, you know, the cost, the higher you go, the cost, the columns have to be higher. So then we changed it to a sitting wall. You know, we're here to do whatever you guys.
yeah.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do, if I can have a motion to recess the public hearing, and we'll continue it to the next 2 weeks. And Pam and you gentlemen can sit down together, and then when you come back, we'll have it the way, you can keep as much of your vision to meet the code. Do I have a motion?
Is the council opposed to change in the design guidelines?
I like the idea of letting the columns be the 3-foot portion.
And I would be fine with that too, but I mean, the height requirements being what they are.
I am in agreement that the columns would meet the 3 foot, so you could still have the shorter wall.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Can you just make a motion of that sort, and if it passes, or otherwise we'll.
Can I do that? Can I make a motion that,
Right now, we need a motion to recess.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Either we need to close the public hearing and then take action on the resolution,
okay,
or we need a motion to recess and continue to the next meeting. The mayor has asked for a motion to recess.
Can I intervene just a second?
I will make a motion to recess and come back to the next meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, one thing. The corner on the Blondo Grand corner, or that corner out there is concrete that the city had put in with a wheelchair accessible. If we do this whole thing and we stamp it and everything, we have that concrete on the corner, it's gonna look stupid. And your curb on the Blondo Street side is already buckled some. It's sticking up that much higher.
Okay.
We would like to propose going in there and stamping that also and covering wheelchair accessible, still good, and matching everything and taking that curb away.
Okay. No.
That the handicap accessible ramp also has to have the detectable warning.
Right.
Yeah.
If you mess with it, it's grandfathered in right now. If you mess with it.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to recess.
Just my main concern, why I'd like to maybe see another option is just, it's the tripping hazard, and not just people on the sidewalk, but even people that are inside the dining facility, them as well, with it being so low. So just, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Aye.
I'll need a roll call.
Crenshaw,
No.
Walker,
No.
Garcia,
No.
Altman's,
Yes.
Hellenthal, Tillman,
no?
Bryant,
Yes.
Greenwald,
Yes.
It fails for 3-4.
I'd like to make a motion that we make the design criteria that the columns fit the 36 inches.
Council member, we're still within the public hearing, so we would have to close the public hearing first.
So now we're going to close the public hearing at 6:29.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to change the design criteria that the columns fit the 36-inch criteria for it.
I would second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Altman's,
No.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
No.
Greenwald,
No.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
4-3.
Oops, 4-3, so that passed.
Does it have to pass with a majority of the council or a majority of present?
Present.
If that was a simple motion, then I believe it's just the number present.
I thought it was a resolution.
It is a resolution.
The motion was not on the resolution. The motion was to move forward with changing the criteria, which would have to be a new resolution at the next meeting. Okay? So we still have to consider the resolution approving the encroachment.
Okay, 9B, consider resolution granting a permanent encroachment for a seating wall at Lucky's Irish Pub, 528 Main Street. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
I'll need a roll call.
Garcia,
Aye.
Altman's,
No.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
6-1.
6-1, that motion passes. Moving right along, guys. Item number 10, consider resolution authorizing demolition of structure and approval of contract with Wynn Company for property located at 1209 Franklin Street. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, you can say it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 11, consider resolution approving agreement with Blue Line Solutions. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. In the contract, it said that if the municipality changes the speed of infractions, that the pay structure changes. And so if we start by saying issuing these notices at 6 or 7 miles an hour over, but then we change that in the future, then that payment structure changes?
I'd have to take a look at that. When it comes to contracts, that's why the attorney dives in, because I cannot even begin to hash out
Yeah.
everything.
So that's
they
what I
go
want to
through.
verify because
So
we,
Can you repeat that again so I can kind of, I know the contract, but I cannot tell you it inside and out.
Sure, I'll find it here
there's-
in the packet.
Every question I get, everywhere I go is different. So, and they're written so attorney-ish.
I think it's in one of the exhibits, but I'll
Sure.
find it here. I'm looking.
Council member, if you can find it.
There you go.
I think you're looking at Exhibit C, Section 2, subsection A.
Yes, yes.
What it reads here is that the initial split is 60% to the municipality and 40% to BLS. And then it does state that if you reduce the time of operation that's allowed by law,
excellent. So that's an easy one. And this is a 24/7 zone, so
Mhm.
it doesn't apply. These contracts are written for every state. If
The
you've-
time portion doesn't,
The
but then
time- the-
it also says though, and/or minimum speed enforcement threshold. And so I'm interpreting that as where we set the
Yes,
bar
sir.
of
Yes, sir.
issuing the fines. So if
Correct.
we change that bar in the future, say we decide
To
we're
raise
still-
it to 15 or 20 or something.
Yeah, if we decide,
Right.
hey, everyone's still
that's
speeding.
Sure, that's kind of I would think that's a common sense thing to cover to ensure that we can still.
But it says we can't. It says the city's punished if we change that speed, that we start issuing
Yes, sir,
infractions.
because, okay, you see where, yeah, thank you. So let's say I've got a speed threshold of 11, okay, which is what we usually typically do. I think the chief's got, everything we do is 11 over, right? And we approve a program based off of 11 over, and all the traffic studies that we've conducted, it goes to our CFO to approve a program, and then 11 over. We begin the program, and then 5 months later, you're like, well, we want them 15 over. Then it's compromise what we do on our end to calculate on everything it's going to cost to recoup the infrastructure that's put in. So that's what that is
Right.
referring
And so
to.
when you did your initial testing, it was at that 11.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know if we've had an actual discussion about where we wanted to start that at. And I know we've thrown out that 6, 7 multiple times, but I don't think the council has ever made a decision.
And
so if we started at 7, but then we went to your recommendation of 11,
if you start at 11 and you go downwards, it's going the other direction.
But if we start at 7 and then we go up to 11, then we are going that direction.
I see what you're saying. If we need to reword it somehow to reflect that, because I see what you're saying. We always say, okay, 11 is what we start at, and again, it's up to you guys to determine. But I can tell you that the program is going to obviously operate on anything 11 or below.
So that's what I was asking. I was going to ask is that if your projections are based upon 11 miles per hour over, and we go lower, so long as we don't go over 11, then that section of the contract wouldn't be enforced.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if we were at 7 and then we changed to 11, then it's
You're
fine
still
and it
fine.
doesn't change it.
Yes, sir.
What
And
happened?
I'm sorry. To answer your question real quick, if we need to get any additional language to reflect that, because that's a question that's never, like I said, every question.
Yeah, and
never been
in
asked
here it
before.
doesn't say 11 over anywhere.
Sure.
It just says minimum established threshold. And so
Correct.
if we ever change that, then that clause comes into play. So
Correct.
yeah, if we change the verbiage to be like if we ever went above 11,
right,
that it would apply. Then I don't have any issue with that language.
Okay.
What happens, so there's several bills that are being proposed at the legislature
Yes.
to prohibit the use of speed cameras. Would we be punished if that happens?
You will not, and it's in the contract.
That's what I thought. I wanted to-
That's a great question because it's getting ready to come up, and I'm in front of council here. I'm very excited about that too, because it's putting safety first. That legislation is, and we're happy to see that they're doing that.
I have had calls of the 5 miles over, 1 to 5, a ticket. So that concerned me. And it's in there, but what is the length of this contract? Is it a year,
5
2
years.
years?
Yeah, it's a
5
5-year, and the threshold is determined by the city council and the police department. So, yep.
Jay, what he's referencing is we do have a scheduled fine for 1 through 5 over.
Oh,
I think we've
in the ordinance.
I think the council has indicated that we're not interested in enforcing anything 1 through 5 over.
Correct. Yes, usually in the ordinance, it has to have everything from 1 on, correct, yes.
Well, something my wife said is the only people that complain about them are the ones that are speeding in the first place. If you don't break the law, you don't have anything to be concerned about. And that's the bottom line. I said it when we first started this. We're not talking about Main Street. We're not talking about a main thoroughfare. We're talking about school zones. I can't believe that anybody in town is upset that we're wanting to enforce the speed limit in a school zone. It just baffles me that they're so up in arms about us enforcing that and wanting to slow people down. We've never one time said we were going to give tickets at 1 mile over. It's been stated here more than once that the mean you guys normally use is 10 to 11 mile over speed limit. That's 25 or 35 mile an hour in a school zone. I can't believe people are even considering that this is a bad idea. And so for me, it really is. The ones, and I've gotten some phone calls and I've gotten some emails, and I look at them, I'm like, yeah, you're the one that we're probably already complaining about. You're the one that's jumping out in front of traffic. You're the one that's already speeding through the school zone. So now you're afraid you're going to get caught. Bottom line, if we set it at 10 or 11, which is what your average is, the ones that are going faster than that ought to get a ticket anyway. And our law enforcement can't be everywhere every time, all day long. We don't have the resources for that. He doesn't have near the manpower for that. And this would solve a lot of that.
Correct. I
And
believe,
then-
I believe one of the
exactly. And then
locations was
If we
200
decide
a
we want to
day.
lower it, okay, hey, we'd rather have it at 8, it doesn't affect our ratio at all. Because I don't see us ever wanting to raise it above 10 or 11. I don't see anybody in town ever wanting to be okay with people speeding 10 miles over the speed limit in a school zone. So if we would set it at 10 or 11, we would never go above that.
Well, it raises a question for me, and this is probably something I should already know, but does that speed limit only apply during school hours?
No.
Okay, it's
It's
24.
yeah,
okay.
it's a,
Like you said, there were some zones that had over 200 speeders a day.
Correct.
at 11 over.
So
Yes.
36 miles an hour during school zones, and you will see it every single day. if
A
you
little
take
over
kid to school.
1,000 in 5 days. Correct. Yeah.
And it should be noted that our residential streets are all set at 25 miles per hour.
Okay, so.
I have a
um,
procedural question then, since I have talked about that verbiage change. Is that something that we're able to just amend this motion, or does that need to go back to your party for approval of anything before it would come to a vote on our end?
I can get the verbiage. If you approve it, I can get the verbiage turned around quickly. That's not even that's not a very big, I can get it turned around probably on my way home.
Okay.
So.
I do want to interject briefly, as Mr. Tillman was talking about the school zones. Just out of transparency, and we have talked about this before, this program does include a handheld unit that would be automated enforcement, but that would be operated by a uniformed officer in a squad car. And we would post a notice prior on our social media, hey, we're going to be doing automated speed enforcement, this location, this time. Just out of transparency, anybody listening, I want them to be aware that that is part of the program as well.
And to tie into that, signage is also part of the program wherever the city wants it.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Well, do I need to, with the verbiage, because there's nothing in writing about the verbiage.
I think that if you want to amend your motion, make a friendly amendment, that you're approving the contract conditional on the change of the verbiage.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the contract conditional on an amendment to the verbiage to Exhibit C, Section 2, to replace the wording of or minimum speed enforcement threshold to contain speed enforcement threshold raised above 11 miles per hour or over.
Who was the second on this? What's that? Dan, do you accept that as a friendly motion? Okay, so now you can just vote on the resolution by the friendly motion.
I was not the first on that.
Oh, who was the first? Okay.
I was.
You accept the friendly motion. Okay. So they accept it? You can
Okay.
vote on it now.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, item number 12.
Excuse me.
Consider resolution approving.
Sorry. As part of the municipality setup information that I have to give Blue Line Solutions, I will need to know what the minimum is that we want to set that at, so I can provide them with that information.
I'd like to make a motion to start that at 10, as anything over 10 is when we would start enforcing it.
Would that just be 11 then?
No, no.
Right, so 11,
So we'd
basically
be at
11 and over. I would like to, I think that is a good, because it's easy to get above that 25 if you're not 100%, kind of watching your speedometer. But there's no way you can run 11 mile and over and not know you're going that fast in a school zone with everybody else sitting alongside of you. So I'd like to start it at 11 mile an hour.
From what I've seen from some of the other agencies that utilize this, and I think Jay would reiterate this, is that's pretty typical, the 11 miles per hour over threshold.
So we have a motion that it be 10,
11 would be the enforcement speed.
11's the enforcement, okay.
They
We
go
have a motion.
35, so that you're fine with people speeding 35 and not being ticketed with this program.
I'm not fine with that, but there again, if we're not careful, then we're going to get into the 4 and 5 over. So if we started at 10, we can always, if it becomes a real problem, we just come back and we change it.
Well, see,
But-
I've seen more law enforcement present during drop-offs. So if you are speeding, you're probably going to get stopped by an officer anyway.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Gonna have a roll call.
Oltmans,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
No.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
6-1.
Motion passes 6-1. Item number 12, consider resolution approving first right to refusal agreement in Industry Park with Decker Manufacturing. Do I have a motion to approve?
So, second.
Any discussion?
Decker Manufacturing is purchasing a parcel in Industry Park from KEDC. The city owns a parcel that is near that. Decker would like to retain first right of refusal on the city parcel for possible future expansion. When you look at the map here, this will serve for the next item as well. The parcel they're buying is at the left top, which ends in 060. The first right of refusal, if you follow it down to the left bottom, the parcel ending, or the parcel right there underneath the yellow line, is what they would like the first right of refusal on.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 13, consider resolution setting a public hearing on granting of easement for Decker Manufacturing in Industry Park. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So the public hearing will be on, if you look at the drawing there, will be on the red section. This would allow Decker to have access to the rear portion of the building they're planning on building.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 14, consider resolution setting a public hearing for October 5th, 2023 for a permanent encroachment for ADA ramp on the public sidewalk along 10th side of the building at 928 Main Street for alcohol and drug dependency services of Southeast Iowa. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 15, consider resolution waiving permit fees for the Horner YMCA. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 16, boards and commissions.
We have all the boards and commissions there. You see, we need a final notification and a vote tonight. So we can take that as an omnibus motion to appoint or reappoint all of those listed.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Council liaison reports.
The Keokuk Cultural and Entertainment District, as Mayor Mahoney mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, is having Kilbourne Band Fest tomorrow evening. It'll be out at Kilbourne Park from 4:30 to 7:30. The homecoming game starts at 7:30, so a little bit of overlap there, but not too much. So just hope to see a lot of people come out. We're trying to capture the magic of Back Alley Band Fest, but put it in a different location around town. And so there'll be some food trucks and bouncy houses and 4 different bands of music ranging from singer-songwriters up to rock and roll out at the park.
Anyone else?
We had a safety meeting this morning. Everything's looking good. The only thing that we need, and I encourage, is that the membership, the attendance is a little low. So if the departments would send a representative, I think it'd be well and good.
Okay. Item number 18, staff reports.
We had the structural engineer go into several buildings today. We had to get search warrants for a couple of those. So it was 600 Main, 17 and 21 South Fifth. And then some buildings that are owned by the city, which are 28 and 30 South 12th. As soon as we get those reports, we will have those available for the city council. 517 South 7th. So last council meeting, I had a public to set for bid on these properties, and for some reason, 517 South 7th did not sound correct to me, and it actually was. So that's not on the bid list. I need to set another public hearing for that, which will be the next council meeting. And I would like the council to consider possibly maybe having a acoustics, someone come in and see if we can do something with the sound in the council chambers. I've had a couple of my board members on different commissions that cannot hear, and they just feel like they would like to just resign off the board. What I'm going to try is just to bring some tables down during the meetings and that we just sit in the middle here together, or even go upstairs. But I do know that the sound is a large issue with a lot of people. So if it's possible that we could maybe have somebody come in and just review it and give us some recommendations.
I'm not opposed to having somebody look into the acoustics.
There's Lucas County Conservation had a large concrete build, and when I visited there probably about 5 years ago, the guy, all he did was take a picture of the whole building in the space, and he sent it in and submitted it to an organization, and then they mailed him the acoustical blocks, and then he just had to put them with a map and then put them on in different places, and it was amazing how that space you could actually hear.
Now, one of our issues is this high ceiling, so if we had to suspend blocks from the ceiling, are we okay with that?
I mean, I would just
Throwing that out there, that's probably what the report is gonna say, is that we have to do something with that vertical space.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would get some estimates on different kinds of designs and see what comes from it.
That's probably what it would take, though, suspending something. Probably not foam, probably, I mean, even if they were large curtains or just something to break that up a little bit. This is a tricky room, though, acoustically.
I don't know if any of you are aware that the LECOM, who does our dispatching, they had their director resign. He took another job. So he left that position. We have opened that up for applications. That closed. We did interviews, and the position was offered and accepted by Tony Keefe, who was the assistant director up there, and he acted as the interim director while Travis was gone. More than capable individual. He does a great job, and look forward to working with him in that capacity.
Okay. Item number 19, new business. Okay, item number 20, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Thanks, guys.
One of the things we're gonna have to concern are, having found like 6 different encroachment.
I get it.
Communities is insurance, because we would be liable for anything that happens on that sidewalk. It's a public sidewalk.
Okay, we gotta give it
Proper insurance.
to him to get it. That's fine. I can do it too. I have a bunch of errands. I have to go to court management and pick all the papers. It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
Processes. I just found like in the state of Iowa, there's encroachment permits. I sent them out. But like, for instance, sidewalks, insurance property.
Yeah.
And they also
He's
have-
my neighbor. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. We
Yeah,
don't,
for mayor.
we just told her, you know.
So, okay.
What people, you know, I don't know.
I don't mean
To me,